To the Wealth Creation Podcast. Hey everybody, it's Dan. Hope you're well today. So let's talk about mental well-being, shall we? And obviously, I can only talk about this from the point of view of being a man, because I am a man. And that's the only existence I've known, right? So anything we're going to talk about in this session is from the point of view that I'm a man. Ladies, if you're not a man, some of this is probably going to apply to you as well. Some of it will, some of it won't. But one of the kind of things that winds me up a little bit, look, I'm getting all excited here, is that, you know, for men's health, we go, oh, you should just talk more. We should just talk more. And you know what, men, we don't talk. We don't do that stuff. We are out there chasing the saber-toothed tiger with our spears, chasing the woolly mammoth down to catch it. We do that, we drag the bits of it back to our cave, and then we go into our cave and we stare at the campfire, and all the women are sat around and they've all got great peripheral vision and great communication skills, and men, we don't do that, right? And people go, oh, that's sexist, all women don't do that. Right, I'm not interested in any of that. This is from a man's point of view. There's a really good book, by the way, you should read by Barbara and Alan Pease called Why Women Can't Read Maps and Men Don't Listen, if memory serves. Buy that book, explains it all very, very well. But you know, like when, and there's that meme, and it's the lady, and she's saying, oh, my husband, he's gone really quiet and he's not talking, and we've not spoken for a few days, and he's just really quiet, and I think our relationship's over, and she's in tears. And then he's there going, oh, my bike's not working, don't know why. And that's what men do. We kind of, we revert back into ourselves. And we might put Netflix on, for example. We're not really watching Netflix. We're introverted. We're not introverted. We're reflecting internally about the problems that we're trying to solve out there in life. And sometimes the problems that we're trying to solve are bigger than our capability of actually solving those problems. So we go inside ourselves. In days, we used to stare at campfires, right? Because we're all sat in a cave. The fire's near the mouth of a cave, and we're all sat there staring into the fire because that's where we think answers are going to be. These days, it can be in the shower. You know, it's men take longer in the shower, and you're wondering why? It's because that's where we get a lot of our ideas, and that's where we're putting the world to rights in our mind. So obviously, there are differences in the way that we think and the way that we're brought up between men and women. And I'm not going to cover any other genders because I don't understand any other genders, only men, because I'm male, right? It's ridiculous that I have to make that caveat. But if you identify as something else, that's fine, go for it. But as a man, this is what we do, right? And some women will do this as well, obviously. God, I can't believe I have to have such big caveats on gender. Anyway, look, in terms of maintaining a positive self-image, and especially as a business owner, but obviously this is going to apply to other sectors if you're in a stressful job and all of that kind of thing. I just saw a video actually on LinkedIn, and it was a sales trainer, and he's yelling at the sales team, you come in on Saturday, you come in on Sunday, there's no happy smiley faces, you come in, you do the work. I'm like, God, what a toxic environment that's going to be. And this is what people do. They let their work define them. I do it to some extent. You know, when you go to a party, I don't go to parties anymore, but when I used to go to parties or networking events, people go, oh, what do you do? And it's like, now I'm a badass CrossFitter. That's what I do. Like, that, you know, that's what I never say. That's what I am, but that's not what I say. What do you do? I'm a property investor and I've got a digital marketing agency. Like, that is the thing that defines us when we go and meet people. You go to a dinner party, what do you do then? Like, make some shit up next time. I work in a circus. The bearded lady. I'm a juggler in a circus. Like, try and do stuff like that. That'd be hilarious. But it's this idea that we let work define who we are. And I understand why people ask these questions, because they want to put you into a little box. And the little box is what your psyche is like, how much money you earn, right? Because that's what people do. What do you do for a living? I'm a cleaner in a hospital. Right, okay. Put them in a box. What do you do? Oh, I am director of a multinational conglomerate. Okay, put them in a box. And these boxes are all and I hate the conversation around it, really. And I'm a hypocrite because I also ask these questions because I don't know what else to ask. The last time I was at a party, it wasn't several years ago, it was a couple of months back. I do actually get invited out from time to time, which is nice. Got invited, and I knew a few people, loads of people I didn't know. And yeah, you start off with, so what do you do? And then you move into the more extreme conversations. And actually, we ended up talking about ultramarathons, as it happens. And one guy was a cyclist, and he'll go cycle 140 miles for that day. Like crazy stuff, right? Takes a lot of hours. And but very interesting. We have more authentic conversations around that. But what happens is we let our work define who we are. And so we go to work, and our success at work then defines who we are. You know, if you close 8 sales today, or if you close no sales today, that defines who you are and the mood that you're in when you go home. That's bonkers. It makes no difference who you are, despite the fact you closed 18 sales or 0 sales. You're still the same person. Oh, but no, now you're a better person because you closed 18 sales, and you're a worse person because you closed 0. Like, these are the conversations that we should be having. And people go to men, oh, well, you just got to talk more. If you're feeling depressed and you're thinking about suicide, talk to your friends. Your friends don't give a shit. What's up with you, dickhead? You know, they don't give a shit. They've got their own problems. They're just happy it's not them, right? Zig Ziglar, I think it was, who said that. Or was it Les Brown? Les Brown, probably. It is Les Brown, isn't it? So, I'm thinking Les Brown's Boys, but that's a comedy program. It's not Les Brown. Anyway, Mrs. Brown's Boys. Anyway, yeah, it's Les Brown. You know, they're just happy. They're not the ones feeling depressed, right? Like, you're on your own in this, fellas. No one's coming to save you. No one's coming to help. You might get incredibly lucky where someone actually does give a shit. But generally, let's just run the assumption nobody gives a shit. And you're here letting your work define you, letting your success define you to determine whether you should be in a good mood or not. Like, I kind of don't get that. It just really doesn't make any sense to me. So what you've got to then do is you've got to find a different way of defining yourself. And I almost forgot to move my little arrow there. I do like these little arrows. So instead of letting something like work externally define you should be looking at defining yourself. And there's various ways at defining yourself. For example, you could have eclectic music taste. For example, I like all sorts of music. I even like Spanish hip-hop, for God's sake, these days because of CrossFit. But I also like opera, and I like classical music, and I love film scores, and I love Taylor Swift and cheesy 80s music, and a bit of Wham, and 90s stuff, and naughty stuff, and I don't know what we call stuff from the 2010. So it could be that's how you define yourself. Maybe you're going to learn to play an instrument. Maybe that's going to define yourself. What do you do? Oh, well, I run a digital marketing agency, but just recently I started to learn to play the guitar. I haven't, but now you're starting to have this different definition of how you communicate with other people is then how you're going to see yourself internally. Like, I'm toying around. I've got this competition coming up at the end of July, and it's in the European Championships, right, which sounds amazing, and it is going to be absolutely amazing. But I'm in the novice section, and in my mind, I'm toying around with, on my social media portfolios, do I put CrossFit athlete? Because I am a CrossFit athlete. I'm training twice a day right now. Today, I'm actually going to train 3 times. I had a CrossFit session this morning. I've got a push session this afternoon, and later tonight I have a leg session because I missed a couple of sessions earlier this week. So, pretty serious stuff, right? But at what point are you allowed to put CrossFit athlete on your thing? And who gives a shit? Nobody cares, right? It's only me that cares. Put it down. If that's going to make me feel like a CrossFit athlete, you should put that down. If you learning to play the guitar is going to make you feel like you're not just a one-trick pony and just very single-sided, and you've got more facets to who you are, then you should put that down. When you meet people, what do? I'm a digital marketing agency owner. I've got property in the UK. I'm a CrossFit athlete training for a competition. Like, suddenly that whole definition changes completely and utterly. And they're not going to ask you about the work, are they? Not going to ask you about the property, and they're not going to ask you about the digital market. They're going to ask you about what's your diet like, and how many times a week do you train, and what does that look like, and what can you lift, and what can you do. And have you got any drone footage of you climbing up the rope? All right, they're probably not going to ask that. But this is about you working out how you want to define yourself and then how you communicate that out with the outside world. And then in terms of finding obstacles to overcome away from work, I had a client and he had, work. He was finding it very challenging. What he was doing was he was unconsciously putting obstacles in his way at work because he didn't have any obstacles away from work. And we are obstacle overcoming machines, right? If we're not overcoming obstacles, we will make obstacles. I know it sounds weird. I know it's like, well, why would I do that? 100% get it. Why would you do that? Because you don't know what you're doing, right? So this is about you putting these obstacles away from work. And you know what you find is that work obstacles suddenly dissipate. They'll disappear, right? Whereas the obstacles that you've put out there, they're challenging. Climbing a rope without hands, handstand push-ups this morning. I'm 52 next month, and the guys there, age 25, doing back squats twice as much as what I could lift, who cannot do handstand push-ups. And I'm doing handstand push-ups, and I'm like, what the hell? How are you doing that? It's because I moved my obstacles away from work, and I put them into a physical challenge. And so now, some days, when I'm, my YouTube search history, how to do handstand push-ups, not how to market more, how to close more business, or how to manage staff, or any of that stuff, right? My obstacles are away from work. And so it just allows work now not to have obstacles or to have less obstacles, because you're not going to get rid of your obstacles in work. It just means that you should have less of them, because unconsciously you're not placing obstacles in your path because you need to overcome these obstacles. This is why, by the way, people make a lot of money, and I've been here, by the way, and they retire, and I've done that, and then they're bored shitless for the next 6 months because they don't have any obstacles to overcome. So what they do is they go get themselves into another business. And if, I had a conversation just this week with somebody else who's done this. It's because they don't have any obstacles away from the work which defined them. They have no self-definition of who they are. They're an entrepreneur without a business. Like, devastating for them, right? As ridiculous as that sounds. But it's true, because unconsciously we put these obstacles in our way, and you want to be putting these obstacles elsewhere. And then just finally on this, a great place to put these obstacles is into some kind of physical activity. It could be ultra marathons. It could be doing an Ironman. It could be doing a triathlon. For me, it's CrossFit. CrossFit is now defining who I am, and a lot more of my focus and attention goes into CrossFit. And weirdly, we actually close more business because of it as well, because I'm now so ultra focused and my time is less, so I'm much more efficient on my tasks, and it's really focused for mind. But more than that, when I work out, it helps in all sorts of different ways. Physically, I'm more confident. Emotionally, I'm more confident. I have much more resilience to overcome obstacles. Those obstacles we're talking about. Sometimes those obstacles are away from work, which is brilliant, challenging. I need to learn how to do a handstand walk. Cannot do handstand walks. And I also need to learn how to do a muscle up. They're the two things I can't do right now. Honestly, if I can get those things down, that is like a massive thing off my bucket list. But it's not just about overcoming those obstacles away from work. What you actually then find out, because you're working out, you have all this extra confidence, is that you're now able to overcome obstacles within your work as well. And it makes such a massive difference in terms of self-defining who you are. And then what it comes down to, which we spoke about right at the start, is maintaining a positive self-image. Because you're not just a business owner. And I've talked about CrossFit and I've talked about working out, but it doesn't have to be that. It can be being a great dad. I mean, how many times do you go to a networking event? What do you do? I'm a digital marketing agency and I'm an amazing dad. Nobody says that. Well, everyone's a dad, right? Anyone who's a dad can say they're a dad. How many people can say they're an amazing dad? And saying it out loud, you're like, oh my gosh, am I even allowed to say that? Is that how I self-define as an amazing dad? And if by the way the answer is no, what would be the things that you need to then put in place to go, actually, you know what, I am an amazing dad? And actually saying those words out loud, I feel like a fraud saying it, because I'm like, shit, am I? And that, all coaching is self-coaching, by the way. Now I'm like, okay, well, what would I need to do in order to be an amazing dad? Sometimes after school, she comes home and I'm exhausted. We still go out. She loves hobby horsing. She loves horse riding, so she jumps over fences on a hobby horse. It's awesome. Daddy, can you come out with me? Yes. Sometimes I don't want to, but I do. Does that make you an amazing dad? I don't know, but it's not for me to define that. Like, it is for me to define it for me, but it's not for me to define it for you. That's for you to do. So look, I hope you find that useful. I am now going to go to the beach bar for coffee. I'm going to work from there for a few hours, and then I'm on a coaching call. But I hope you find that useful, and we'll catch up with you on the next one. Have yourselves a wicked weekend, and we'll speak to you soon. Take care. Hey, it's Dan here. Thank you for listening. Really appreciate each and every one of you. Please click like or subscribe to the entire podcast.